Welcome everyone. We are so happy to see so many of you joining today. The webinar is about leveraging intelligent capture within higher education. My name is Pierrick Delez, and before I welcome our experts and speakers, Russell, Mike, and Sam, let's do some housekeeping together. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So you can ask your questions via the tab on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will answer them at the end of the session. Also, the PowerPoint and the recording of this webinar will be available on iriscorporate.com after the webinar, a few minutes after. So now it's my great pleasure to introduce our key speakers today, who have a combined experience of over 40 years in the capture and document management industry. First, we have Mike Dici. Mike has been with IRIS for 8 years. Mike is a business director who supports our resellers, including Canon. Russell Atkins is our business services director supporting our BPOs, shared service centers, and service bureaus. Russell has been with IRIS for 2 years. And lastly, we have Sam Trosnek. Sam has been with IRIS for 8 years and supports both Mike and Russell. We are really excited to share with our listeners today some useful information regarding higher education challenges and solutions. So Russell, Mike, and Sam, the screen is yours.
Thanks, Pierre. For years, education institutions have relied heavily on paper-intensive processes. But over those years, it's shifted to a digital process. And these same institutions are now relying heavily on process automations. Studies estimate nearly 80% of colleges and universities are currently using some form of automation in their operations. But what happens when these operations hit a wall? Third-party apps don't communicate with each other, and before you know it, this 20% controls the other 80%. Additionally, there's a strong presence of physical documents that always looms and blocks methods of efficiency. For the most part, there's always be some form of physical paperwork, forms, emails, or other content unable to digitally convert. And while many processes move completely towards automation, this can leave your remaining processes staggering.
So today we're going to discuss processes on both ends of the spectrum and some in between. Our goal is to provide you with some insight and information, allowing you to see how IRIS can level up your processes, optimizing and scaling them so that you can provide enhanced production within your organization.
That's right, Russ. Over the years, we have provided solutions of all kinds of related topics. And today, we're going to be discussing student records, endowment, and registrar's department. But before we transition to that, I'd like to briefly address a couple more. Take, for example, accounts payable. Most of our higher education customers are also tackling this process with us. Not only does AP have to keep the lights on, but they require proper tracking within the departments and budgets. And we help them with this with line item details, reconciliation, three-way matching, payment terms, and real-time budget accuracy. Other examples include statements, testing, intake forms. These are great for data mining. We work with departments by providing data that serves to support trends, analytics, forecasting, dashboarding, and so on. The possibilities are endless with data.
You know, Mike, another big area that has become almost as critical and document intensive as student records is human resources. On some campuses, administration staff has grown to nearly half the size of the student population, while others rely heavily on trusted third parties to perform these tasks on their behalf. You know, recently I've worked with many BPOs that meet these challenges and promote new ideas of rapid, efficient, and reliable solutions. The journey of digital transformation is actually a faster, more beneficial ride than you might think. So whether you've completely digitized or you're just starting, the beauty of Iris is that it can fit anywhere. It can work with your existing processes or the new processes you might have in mind.
Mike, you're on mute.
You are muted. You're on mute.
Sorry, guys. I think it's important to address one more obstacle related to these topics and how our technology improves its content. You may have attempted automation in the past. Did you run into mixed or poor results? Was it less automated than anticipated? One reason is stubborn, challenging documents, especially transcripts in higher education, can come with layers of overlapping text, decorations, logos, images, watermarks, and this can lead to many frustrating issues interrupting your current processes. You're going to need something better than a standard OCR extraction. Some of our patented imaging technologies include tools like color dropout, hole punch and line removal, dynamic binarization, which means it adjusts directly to that document itself, and despeckling. Those are those little pepper shakes that we see on the document there. Our AI-based high-quality OCR is also great for capturing mobile images that students might upload where the perspective is off, or maybe you're scanning old archives and that text has started to fade on dark backgrounds.
You're right. So utilizing the power of Iris image processing technology allows documents to be cleaned up fast while preserving its quality, giving you the power to extract everything necessary, all while maintaining exporting options like using the original colored, unprocessed image that was scanned, the one on the left of the screen, or the processed image like the one on the right-hand side. Now, if you're saving your files as PDFs, or if you're looking to save as a PDF, that's great. Our PDF compression technology can reduce image size by up to 50 times smaller, which is really great for bandwidth reduction and saving space for long-term storage. So, Mike, let's go ahead and jump into our first category for today, student records.
Sounds great. In student records, we have short-term or temporary documents typically kept for 3 to 6 years, and then long-term records that are typically kept for 60 or more years. And a typical student record will contain immunization and health information, and maybe any special accommodations related to those, financial documents from financial aid, student course history, their grades, attendance, test results, transcripts. And when digitizing the student record, you must have the appropriate access controls in place. Are you still storing paper records? Do you utilize offsite storage for long-term archive? And are you purging or shredding those documents in compliance with those state and federal guidelines? Going digital improves accessibility and retention policies that can be put in place. In 2023, though, reality is many of these documents start and stay digital, but many of those are still externally generated and must be associated to the correct student and classified so that the correct retention policy can be applied. This is where Iris comes in. With our template-free approach to classification, we can identify the document type regardless if we've never seen it before or how many times it's changed over the years, should you maybe be doing some backfile scanning. Then we identify the necessary data for extraction, validate that data, and ensure your business rules are met. This could be identifying a student on an immunization record or financial aid application based on last name, date of birth, or any other relevant information. With accurate and validated data, you can make access and retrieval of your highly compressed documents a simple task.
So one thing to add there, Mike, all of these benefits are true regardless if you're processing in-house or relying on an outsourced provider, like a qualified records management company or a BPO. Iris's scalability provides a solution for just a few documents at a time to millions per day.
That's right. Some organizations are ready to tackle these challenges in-house, while others will best be served with one of our BPO partners. I'd like to discuss another area that is often filled with automation opportunities, and that's the endowment department and alumni operations. So in the endowment and alumni departments, which often work together on campaigns and additional funding sources for your organization, they have both donor and alumni records. And related to those records are any donations, which come via multiple methods, and they will contain things like sensitive checking or debit credit card information. Those donations are also invested and allocated in various financial accounts with regular statements and reporting. Additionally, as we know, some donations are physical assets or property, and that brings with it even more documents to manage. Most of those donations and checks are scanned, and the image or record is associated to that donor or alumni member. And if you're doing that, account information that is captured can also be used to prep for deposit while simultaneously indexing the document so you can track history for that donor, any relevant campaigns, grants, and so forth. Are you entering this information manually? And are you satisfied with your ability to efficiently save and report on these documents or assets? Now, with IRIS technology combined with our partner services and expertise, we've had the privilege of serving so many colleges and universities. Simple projects from capturing checks to full digital mailrooms. We've captured complex line items and tables, giving transactional information to ERPs and ECMs. The need for capturing table and line items has actually resulted in more and more opportunities in this department. Wouldn't you agree, Russ?
Absolutely, Mike. And that leads us to our next area. And that's one of the biggest areas that we are seeing many challenges, and it's coming from the registrar's office. They deal with a large number of administrative and record-keeping tasks on a daily basis. Sometimes tracking hundreds or thousands of students at once, which is certainly not easy to do, especially through manual or partially automated sequences. Now, with all those students comes a multitude of document types and thousands of pages. Document types like applications, lower education records, and transcripts, just to name a few. Many end up struggling with manual processes around data entry and validation of student information, and that can sometimes be a part of the enrollment process. Now, Mike, you already addressed earlier image quality. It's very important, but just as important is being able to identify document types and document layouts so that we can leverage current databases to validate and streamline new data that's coming in. Now, another common burden that we hear is the manual effort it takes to convert courses based on grade, class name, or description. It's extremely rare to have two institutions that have a class named, coded, or described the same way. So that creates a barrier between getting the information into the new system. Now, although many offices can access this data electronically, there's still a barrier of getting it into their system correctly. To overcome your current processing limitations, you're going to need a technology with a high ceiling. And this is where IRIS comes in. Just curious, do you know where your current limits are? Are you using templates to address document types and document layouts? Now, do you have someone manually indexing? Now, if so, if they make a mistake, what happens? How many steps play a role in fixing that problem, if it's even found? These are very common things that can easily be addressed with the right software. So with that, I think it would be the perfect time for Sam to jump into the demo so we can see IRIS in action with student transcripts.
Thanks, Russ. Today we're going to look at two different approaches when it comes to transcripts. So these are two separate solutions. One's really detailed oriented, one's more goal oriented. In terms of the first one being detail oriented, what we have in front of us is just a standard 2-column transcript. So you'll see here to the right where we have our fields and line items, Iris is capturing and formatting some header values and also more of those details from a table point of view. So let's look at these. We have some information like name being captured. When it comes down to the school, we can work with your database and actually collect the information, look up and return the name of the school based off of things like phone number, website, email, or even the address like we've got provided here, or any kind of combination of any of those that I mentioned. Student numbers, pretty simple to get. It's going to just use some sort of a key value. While date, we're able to use and capture anywhere from a key value like date issued to even just geometrically first, or even just from a timing sequence, which date is the youngest of dates. This next area right here, I want to quickly address, but not really too important to the actual capturing perspective, but we've got it displayed to kind of show you what's actually going on with the results below. You see, Iris being an intelligent capture technology, we're able to actually look up not only what we have on this document, but recognize what type of table needs to be captured here. So that's why we have a 2-column, each taking up half of the page, and then Iris is then using that. So what Iris is doing before it actually reads these line items is it's intelligently looking at which table configuration needs to be thrown on the document. And actually we have over 10 different table recognitions that cover the digital transcripts for students. In this particular case, we have a 2-column, but we do 1, 2-column, and even 3-column transcripts all on the same page. So let's look at this first one for a minute here. It's pretty obvious, I think, what we're looking at here. We've got a couple, as we click through, we've got our different rows, right? But one thing to address is we've got course, credits, grades, even these titles, which can be really helpful and resourceful. But then we come across over here into terms and years. Notice that we have the correct term based off of what was provided above it here. And you'll see that actually when we go from the term in year, which was fall of 2014, you'll see that as we continue going on here, we're going to actually jump right into spring 2015. You see, intelligent capture that can utilize geometric properties along with what it's placed really gives you a much bigger and fuller potential when it comes to capturing details like we see in front of us here. So this way, not only can you run analytics and data mine what you're given, but it gives you a more deeper perspective into the classes that were taken and when they were taken, just in case you need to have that information readily available to you. So this is just a quick little summary of what we have. If you want to see, more into this, we can certainly, do a more deeper dive into what we've got provided here. But the next one example that I have was more of goal focused, like I had mentioned before. When it comes to the goal focus, we're actually going to be using transcripts for a more course placement type. And in this case, we're going to be taking the demo provided here has got a calculus focus for engineer students. But one thing about this course placement solution is it's so powerful that our users are able to interchangeably use this for just about any subject matter, whether it's mathematics, sciences, histories, Englishes, or more. So you'll be able to actually reuse this project, but you can change the information so it's focused and directed more towards another subject. For the engineering scenario that we have presented in front of us today, we're going to be focusing on calculus. Now, let's say, for example, I have a list, and that list contains of number 1, calculus AP being the highest course, calculus being the next course below that, and then pre-calculus would go beneath that. Of course, I could go on with other courses beneath that, but in terms of what we have here, Iris is going to be looking at which course is the latest course of that hierarchy that we mentioned. So here it finds pre-calculus as being the last of those calculus classes, It's also able to find out, more information about it, when the semester was, what the grade was, the credits given, in even that year, which was provided right above it. That then returns the appropriated math or qualified entry course, which is Math 117. Now, additionally, with finding this kind of class, finding the most recent class, we're also able to then return the most qualified entry from that. So in this case, because the student had a B, we're returning Math 117. The built-in logic that comes with this, let's say the student had an A, maybe your school would actually raise that up one more level. So maybe in this case, the student, Jenny, she would have actually qualified for Math 118 had she had an A. So from taking pre-calculus. And let's say she had taken calculus AP. Well, in a situation like that, this would have returned something like along the lines of Math 125. So when it comes to something like this, what it does, and the whole goal of this was to be able to take something that can be very time consuming and fall problematic to human error when you're having to manually go through and review these classes to see which one it is. If we take a look here, it's pretty easy to obvious now that Iris has spotted it, which is the most recent calculus class or the highest calculus class Jenny has taken. But when you have to do 50 of these or even 100 of these for the week, let alone for the day, it can be quite time consuming. By entrusting Iris with a couple seconds, you can import this job and Iris can do the work for you. Not only can this export the data out, but this could then fall right into an automated workflow in which engages the student accordingly, thus placing this student in a much faster process into the department which they need to go, which they were applying with. So with that being said, that concludes our demo for today.
Sam, thanks for that demo. That was great. Guys, we do demos like this quite often. And if there's something you'd like to see, please contact us. I think it's really important as you're choosing a technology that you go with something that offers you solutions across your organization. And while we already mentioned many possible solutions, we offer an unlimited amount of easy solutions that gives you a high ceiling in terms of capability. Our inclusive technology can be used with departments such as HR, accounting, facilities management, or any other department that deals with document-driven processes. You know your organization, and you're going to know where it's best to get started.
I couldn't agree more, Mike. And we have some really great success stories showcasing the power of Iris on our website. So if you'd like to take a look at those and find out more information, visit the stories section at iriscorporate.com, or you can scan the QR code that's currently on the screen. And while you're on the website, feel free to use our Try and Trust page. On there, you can test a document of your own with live results directly from the website. So the QR code for that is on the screen there as well.
Let's summarize what we discussed today for a minute. The unfortunate reality is that there are documents that throw wrenches into your automation or production. It seems like more efforts are spent working around this obstacle than working through it. When you see leverage intelligent capturing to workflows, manual processes, etc., breaking those barriers can be as easy as 1, 2, 3. Not only can we automate the entry into repositories, but we have the ability to remove standard bottlenecks within new or existing workflows. We just recently serviced another college that uses Laserfish. By adding Iris into their workflow, they were able to do just this. In return, it minimizes their amount of form creations and maintenance that they do yearly to intake supporting documents. If you're already working with our Iris partners, please contact them about what maybe you've seen today, or contact Mike or Russ according to your business type.
All right. Well, now let's get to your questions. Pirk, do we have any submissions?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sam, Russ, and Mike. Yes, indeed, we have some questions. First question from Alice. What other colleges or universities are using a solution like this?
I'll take that one. There are many colleges and universities using Iris. Some of them are highlighted on our website, so if you go back to that QR code that you just saw, while others are direct clients of our partners. So if you're looking for references, we'd be happy to connect you. So thank you. That was a good question.
Okay, great. Question from Sarah. You indicated you could integrate with Laserfish. What about Banner?
I'll take that one, Mike. First, yes, we definitely provide an integration with Laserfish, as Sam was discussing on a previous slide. And yes, we can integrate with Banner. I know it's widely used throughout colleges and universities. I actually worked not too long ago with a client in regards to their alumni records, specifically their donations, where they were manually processing those and manually redacting the information there. So we leveraged Iris to provide some redaction capabilities and to take them digital. So long answer, but yes, we can integrate with Banner.
Okay, cool. Question from Phil. That will be the last one. Question from Phil. What kind of benefits can be seen after implementations?
I'll grab that one too, Mike, if that's okay. That's a big question. It really depends on where we start, but the important direction is forward. So we've already mentioned there's a high ceiling with Iris. But once we've identified where to start, and I'm sure you already have an idea of where you want to start, our developers and project managers will ensure that we deliver the right solution for you, keeping in mind the benefits that you want to see in return.
Okay, thank you, Russ. So we don't have the time, unfortunately, to answer all those questions that we received, but of course we will make sure to answer them offline. So Russ and Mike will contact you via email, and we'll answer those questions to you directly. Don't forget that on iriscorporate.com you can find the recording of this webinar and download the PowerPoint, the presentation. So that will be available on the website in a few minutes. Also, of course, if you have more questions or if you'd like to get a bespoke demo or to speak with our experts, please don't hesitate to contact Russell and Mike. So with that, I would like to thank you all for your participation to this webinar, and I wish you all a very nice day. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.